Welcome back. This is part 2. At this point you should have something that looks similar to this. Like I said, you can kind of squeeze the muzzle and mold it how you want it. This goes with anything. You can make it more elongated if you want it more like a dog or some other animal. But this is for a cat. For the ears, you want to find the area that you like the best for the face. You can turn it. I kind of like this area right here. I'm thinking eyes, nose. For the ears, you want to come up here and figure out where you want them. So right here, I'm thinking about right here for the ears. So you want to take your yarn and you want to find a loop. It's kind of like an H, but you want to find the cross of the H and stick your yarn underneath it. I always leave a pretty decent tail. And for this one, I'm going to go one here and one right next to it and put loops through so it looks like this. Depending on how big you want the ears, I usually do 2 at first for cats. And then you want to take your yarn, this is your working yarn, and you want to feed it back up through the 2 loops that you just did. So you have, it'll look kind of weird at first, but there is the start of your ears. And that's 2 rows. Depending on how big you want the ears, you can make more rows. I do about 2. On the 3rd row, I feed it through and I make it a little bigger as I'm going to cross it over and put it in this one. So now I have just 1 loop. So if you look, it tapers it up into a point. I'll cut off the yarn and take the piece that you just cut, feed it back up through your last loop and pull it tight. So now that you have your little ear, you can either take it, put a knot in it, tie it off however you want. I usually take and feed it back down through. So it looks kind of like that. You can take this one and meet up with it. I just tuck it through like a bottom spot. And you can either tie it or you can clip these and burn it. That's what I usually do. You want just enough to where they will connect. And there's your first ear. And if there's any spots that you feel is too fluffy, you can actually take and gently trim some of the fuzz off to make it more of a shape that you like. And then you'll count over. There's 1, 2, 3, because this would be my middle, and the eyes would go on each side. So this is my middle spot. There's part of another one here, so I would start my next one right here. And you just repeat the process to make your next ear. You go next to it. So you have your 2 loops. You go up through the one you just made, and then go to the next one. So you have 2 rows. On your 3rd row, you come up, make it a little bit bigger as you're going to cross it over and push it through the second one, which turns it into just 1 loop. You want to cut some of your working yarn and leave a decent tail, and you want to feed it back up through that last loop and pull it tight. And again, I just feed it down through. And find a loop down in here. To feed this piece up so they would meet. Trim off your excess. And you'll burn and attach. And again, if you want a more tapered look, you just gently trim some off. And there you have your ears.